And so today we'll be covering about how to do our proper line management, right? Because that is pretty much the key to succeeding in Atomy by building the right line and correctingly building that proper line will allow for you to quickly succeed and avoid big traps that actually come along your way, which actually happen to appear quite often, right? More people tend to fall into these simple traps, due to maybe greed or just being too thoughtful, maybe, right? These kind of small things that we might overlook actually will cause a big damage in your business. And so today we'll be looking a little bit more into that. And so here I have a picture of the British monarch, right? And so on the left you see, and so now, a good question that I want to ask for us is that, is it good for us to have a deep-rooted history and lineage, or is it better if our history is short, right? And, maybe some people might like it short, but I think that it is great to actually have that deep rooted history in your lineage, right? Whether that is within your family or whether that is within your business, anything like that, right? All of these big businesses, let's say like for Samsung or Apple, they want to leave a lasting legacy. And because of that, they have deep roots. They have very strong foundations, which allow them to continue to be the top spot of where they are year after year. They still remain the number one or number two in their category, respectively. And so that is the kind of thought we want to have when we're approaching Atomy. Right here, we have a picture of our lineage, right? In Atomy, we are the sponsor, and then we build our two legs, right? So you go down each leg on each side. And so as you can see there, we are going to choose the legs on the left and then the one on the right, right? And then we build to that same side all the way down, right? All the way down to the bottom, right? So that's the kind
Ừ.
of lineage that we
Hoặc
want
mỗi là
to
được mini.
um, build and continue to create that lasting effect, right? And so if we cut short our lineage or make it all scattered around, then it will be very hard for us to gather those PV and make it possible to create that auto consumption, auto income system. And so just like this tree we have here on the left, far left, we have a tree that is making a big, tree with lots of fruits, right? But it has very shallow roots. And so if we think about it, that tree, once the storm comes, there's a hurricane or a typhoon or tsunami, that tree is going to easily get ripped out from the ground and thrown aside, right? And that's the kind of tree that a lot of people tend to build if they don't know how to properly build their Atomy business, right? For the one in the middle, that this person is building their line consecutively with consistency, right? Over time, but they might not see their results immediately, right? They might not see the money coming in right away. But then they believe that once they become a big tree, that they will be unstoppable. Nothing will be able to blow them down or, destroy their business, no matter how hard it is, right? And so you can see that example from our leaders today, right? Some of the royal masters here, some of the crown masters here, when COVID happened, right? That could be an example of a typhoon or a tsunami. In this case, many businesses actually closed down, right? I'm sure a lot of you also experienced it within your own neighborhoods, your own cities, where small businesses or medium businesses had to close their doors because they didn't have a strong foundation. And because of that, they had to close them and went bankrupt. The same thing could be said for the opposite side for Atomy. Instead of closing down, a lot of these leaders actually doubled, tripled their income during COVID, right? Which sounds ridiculous, but it is possible because they built a strong foundation, right? Obviously, for those of us that didn't really build a strong foundation, many of them left Atomy because they couldn't handle the turbulence of COVID and the struggle of not making enough income at that time. And that's happens. But here today, I want to teach you how to build those strong roots so that you can avoid those kind of future turbulence. Because no matter what, it's going to happen, right? When there's a up in the market, there's also a down in the market, right? And so eventually those bad things will come, but it depends on how well you prepare for those bad situations. And so here are some few rules that I hope you can keep, because these are going to help you protect you and also prevent you from taking a big back step in your business, right? If you want to take a picture, if you want to write this down, this is all very important information for you to follow as kind of like your guideline. And so in the beginning, many people who first join Atomy think that they have to start looking for people to help them right away, right? But the best way to grow is to succeed yourself. And afterwards, then you can help others once you are successful, right? If you're not successful, there's no point for you to look for other people to try to build your success, because that means that you're not going to be able to properly give them the support and sponsorship that they need at that time, right? And then all that is doing is that you're just trying to use them for your own gains. But then, obviously once they become successful, then you're not really much help otherwise being a, bad sponsor, right? So to avoid that, you want to build yourself up. In Atomy, everyone has to work on themselves, right? Everyone needs to build themselves up so that they can be the proper leaders to their partners. And so let's say you have a new partner that joined and they live in another city, right? You sign someone up after looking for a long time and they live in another city or another country. You live in Canada, but they live in Paris, or they live in China, they live in Korea, wherever. But they just started, so it's not really practical for you to fly all the way to wherever they're living just to help that one partner, right? Yes, if you've already built up your business to a certain level, that is okay. But this is for beginners only, right? When you're very first starting Atomy, you want to avoid going to these places to do business, because in the beginning, the amount of money you can spend is limited, right? Unless you're rich, then you can go and do whatever you want. But if you are just a regular income wage worker and you don't have a lot of money or a lot of savings, then it's very difficult for us to do that kind of activities and spending a lot of money to buy a plane ticket to go all the way there to meet those members, to sponsor them, right? And so in the beginning, you want to look for members that are close to where you live, right? Your friends or family members that live in your town, your coworkers, those are the people that you want to first reach out to instead of people all the way in another country, right? And then from your connections, you start to look for leaders that can help grow your business and that help grow together with you, right? And then you slowly grow your lineage through those connections. And after that, you start to move further out into different cities. And eventually, then you'll have global partners as well, right? So for the reason for this is that once you are grown and with your sponsors' help, you can make it easier to grow even quickly when you're in a global setting, right? So you start to add people in another country right away, then you could face some difficulties as a beginner. So please try to look for those around you first, then branch out as you grow your business. That just makes it a lot easier when you are first starting out, so you don't make it harder for yourself. And in order for us to build the right lines, you want to group people in the same connections, right? So let's say you group your connections together and have them sign up in the same area for your school members, right? You have your friends that are from school, elementary school, middle school, high school, doesn't matter. You group them in the same line. Don't put them in separate lines. Please avoid this, because many people tend to do this thinking that this is kind of like a pyramid style business, but this is not a pyramid style business, and this is not how you should do it, right? So I'm telling you now, for your sake, right? Not for my own, right? Please avoid putting people randomly into different lines, right? Especially if they're in the same group, right? Family members as well, right? There are certain circumstances that might be okay, but that you need to consult with your sponsors first before you do something like that. But in the very beginning, if you are a beginner, please group them together before you sign them up so that you kind of have an idea of who your friend groups are and put them in there. Same with your family members or your coworkers, keep them in the same lines. And so the reason why we do this is because people will fight each other because of your groups, right? If you break them down and break them up, and there was a sponsor who found someone in Indonesia, right? There's a couple, and they seemed like great leaders. So he went there, he talked to them, and then helped them learn about Atomy. And so that couple was excited to work. And when their sponsor asked again in a month later, and they checked up on them, how they were doing, they said that they are no longer going to do this business. So what happened between that 1 month time, right? So the sponsor actually found out was that the couple went to their church, right? Good place to meet people, sign people up, right? And instead of signing people up in the same group, they thought they were being smart, that they were going to use their head and sign people up on both legs to maximize their income. And what happened is that the church people who were signed up, they found out that they were split up and that they're in different areas and eventually causing them to fight and causing a huge drama in the church and having that group shut down and everyone left, right? And so what could that person have done better, right? They could have just listened to what their sponsor told them. I'm pretty sure the sponsor told them to group them together, but they ignored their sponsor's message and said that, okay, I'm smarter than my sponsor. I know what I'm doing. I don't need my sponsor's advice. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to sign them up however I want. And in the end, this was the result of their action, right? And so please, for your sake, right? No, for your partner's sake, please avoid this simple mistake and add them in the same group. And at the same time, we also have to do both legs, no matter whether your sponsor is working on your one side of their leg as well, right? If you're on your sponsor's main leg, they're working on one leg. It doesn't matter whether they're working on one leg and that leg is really big. You still have to work on both legs, right? And this I'll further explain later why you should do this and why we need to continue to work on both legs. But it's to prevent actually yourself from growing slowly, right? And so you might think that, oh, why am I gonna grow slowly when my sponsor is already working on one leg and it's really big? I just have to focus on one leg and that's it. But I'm telling you now, that's actually a big trap. And many sponsors that tell you that they're going to help with one leg and you just need to focus on it is not actually helping you at all, right? So please avoid this because it's going to cause further complications. And so this is your own business. If you think of this as your own business, then you don't leave it up to someone else to do your own work and to help you succeed, right? It is up to you to work hard so that way you can find your own success. The same goes for everyone else. And that doesn't matter if it's your sponsors or your partners. And so here are some of the things that now you need to watch out for, right? So I told you a little bit about the rules that you want to keep. Now it's about what you needed to avoid, right? Avoid so that you don't fall into the obvious traps, right? So an example of this is that, we have our, do not make a lineage for those who are just a customer, right? So if you have that first part there, this is because this is a big no-no because it's going to cause a big problem in your group, right? So example of this is that you have a son or a daughter who you love so much. So you add them under you, let's say on your right side, and you start to make two lines under them, right? So one on their left side, one on their right side, because you want them to make money, even though they are not interested in doing the business at all. They told you that, oh, mom, dad, I'm not interested in doing this. So please don't tell me what to do. I'm not gonna do anything. But you love them. You want them to succeed and make them money. So you go out of your way to build two legs, right? This will have a significantly negative impact on your partners because you are creating an unfair advantage to those who are actually working hard, right? So the partners that you actually have that are actually working, they're going to find this unfair and it's going to cause further problems when you go down that road, right? And so humans do not like to be in an unfair situation. Once they realize that you're only helping your son, your daughter grow quickly, then they'll feel like this is a broken system. And no matter how hard they work, they will not properly get your help. And eventually your line will either grow sideways or not really go down. And this will cause your business to grow really slowly or fail. Right? So please avoid doing this method. And so always consult with your sponsor as a beginner, right? So this is a person here who was advised to do 2 lines, right? But they firmly believed that they had to do a pyramid-like structure. So we have this picture here. As you can see, they built like a pyramid. They added a person A here, person B on the right, and then person C on the left, and then person D on the right side of person A, right? And so they just kept on adding this in like a pyramid structure. So all of these members are the sponsor's members. They're not the partners, right? And so they're all just members, a part of the sponsor. And so this business did not last for even 6 months before quitting, right? And so the person wasn't able to make any partners or any loyal customers and ended their business. So why does this structure fail, right? Many people think that this is a amazing system, like a pyramid system, but it is a actual 100% trap, right? So please avoid doing this matrix system, which is a pyramid structure, because this is a 100% failure. So you want to avoid this. Atomy has set it up to be a binary limit, so that way it prevents us from failing, right? So the answer is that you being at the top there is a limit to how much you can do for your lines, right? So you're supposed to send points down in Atomy to your left side and your right side, because you are a sponsor and you spend money on purchasing products, whatever you need to do, you spend money and then you spend it on the left side, you spend it on the right side, right? And so let's say that you have all of these people, right? Then all of them are your members. All of them, they're your partners. Then who are you going to put it on? You can't put it on every person, right? And that's the problem. When you do this pyramid structure, you are limited to how many people you can do because you don't have infinite money. There's only a certain amount of money you can use. So if you have a partner here, partner here, partner here, partner here, you can't help all 4 of them on your left side. It's impossible. Eventually, you'll run out of money. Eventually, you'll get tired of sponsoring all 4 of them, right? That's why Atomy makes it so simple. You just have to do 2, right? So just help this line and just help this line, like just like that. You just help 2 sides, and then these partners, right? Their responsibility is to help like this, right? And that's the kind of system Atomy is created. So that way it relieves the pressure of having to do everything by yourself, which allows for that team synergy effect to happen because you're not relying on just your own self, but you're also relying on the support of your partners, support of your sponsors, right? And so you want to look for the right people and the right kind of people to build your business with. And the ones who want you to succeed the most is your sponsors, right? So why not utilize and use their resources that they have, right? And so who is the sponsors that are, your true sponsors? They are the ones that attend the system, right? The sponsor that added you, if they don't attend the system, they don't love the products, they don't do the business, then they're not your sponsor. They're just someone who added you, that's it. Look for your sponsor. They might be the one person above that person, whoever it is, but you need to find your sponsor. And so that way they can teach you. They don't necessarily might be able to sponsor you because you might not be in their main leg, but they can still guide you into doing the right direction, doing the right way of the business so that way you don't make a mistake, right? And so we're going to go into a little bit of examples of situations, scenarios that we want to avoid, right? So here we have a problem with doing only one leg, right? So I mentioned earlier that you want to avoid doing just one leg. You want to build both legs, right? And so let's say you have that person at the top, right? This is myself, right? And so I tell Mr. Kim here, I'm just gonna continue to help out building his left side, right? So you make a partner, Mr. Kim, the business partner, and he just tell him you can work on your right leg, Mr. Kim. right? Just work on your right leg. Don't worry about your left leg because I'm going to build that out for you. And so he focuses on his right leg, and then you focus on your his left leg, and eventually, that might seem good. He might make money in the beginning, right? But it looks easy, and the promise that you made, you have to continue to keep, so you continue to do it. But eventually, at one point, you're going to realize that, okay, now this side is too big. This side, your right leg is too big. Now you have to work on your left leg, right? So you move over. You got to go here to start working on this side, right? And so then, what would happen? So now Mr. Kim is on his left side. None of those people are his own partners. And the members that he added, he can't give any sort of sponsorship activities on his left side because he doesn't know anyone. They are all your partners, right? So not only does this hinder his business in that way, but when he's trying to do any sort of challenge, mastership challenges, he doesn't know any of these people, so he can't coordinate a teamwork effort to challenge together with these people because none of these partners are his own partners, right? In Atomy, not only is it important to build the right legs, but you also need people to work together with, right? On both sides. If you don't have people on both sides, it makes it so hard when you're trying to challenge for masterships because after sales master, everything else you need people for, right? It's not about the PV, it's about the people. So you need to look for the right kind of people on both legs, right? And so, now this person appears with both legs grown, and so that person doesn't even work, but they're able to get money, right? So now we have a person here, right? They're working, they're not even working, and so they end up becoming a pig because now Mr. Kim is not really be able to sponsor them, but you built that 2 legs right here, right? So then they're not doing anything and they're just benefiting from that, which is causing a total mess in your business, right? And so now this line will now become a complete mess, and Mr. Lee appears and he wants to do a business now, right? Mr. Lee appears later on. He says, oh, I want to do this business, but because a sponsor above him, directly above, is a pig and is not working, then he has no choice but to go to Mr. Kim, but Mr. Kim is not his sponsor. So they're not able to support and help each other because they don't know each other. So then who does he go to? Mr. Lee has to go to you, right? Me. He goes to me because he has no one else and I'm his only sponsor and I'm the one that added him. So then what happens? Because of that, I have to help him and it spreads my power thin, right? If this was my main leg, right, on my right side, now I have to do this leg, right, and this leg, and I have 2 legs now, right, on my right leg. It creates a additional leg, which causes me problems when doing my business because there's only so much resources I can put into doing this business, right? And so you want to avoid this. And so keep in mind, doing both legs is really important. You want to build out both sides so that way you avoid that, and you want to avoid building out 2 legs randomly like this because in the end, it's going to cause you problems later down the road, right? So avoid doing this, please, so that way you don't get caught in this trap. And so now we have a picture of problems with adding members into a non-partner line. So we talked about this. So here in this scenario, we have customer right here. Let's say this is your sister, brother, son, daughter, doesn't matter. Someone you cherish and you want to help them build their money for them, right? So you start adding people here, right? M2, M3, M4, M5, etc. You start building and adding these members down their right leg. So, right? So then now what would Mr. Kim think? What would Mr. Kim think? Right? He will probably feel so angry because Mr. Kim is working hard. He's working on 2 legs right here, right? But even though he's working hard, the person above him doesn't do any work, doesn't support him, doesn't do anything. And then his own sponsor, instead of building up the people that are actually doing this business, he is focusing on building up his family members instead. So in the views of Mr. Kim and Mr. Lee, this is not a fair system, and this will cause the partners to dislike their sponsors, and it'll cause distrust and problems within your relationships. And then the lineage will either grow really slowly, or these people, Mr. Kim and Mr. Lee, will eventually leave to another group, right? And so you want to avoid this because these are the people that actually are helping and working hard and supporting your business. They're the ones that are actually causing you to be able to make income up to this point. But if you think that that's not the case, then you are in a very sad situation, right? Please support the people that are actually working hard. It just makes it so much easier for your life, right? So what should you do? Very simple. Build all the way down into your right leg, right? If this is your main leg, you go all the way down, M1, and then add M2 under Mr. Lee and Mr. Kim's side all the way down. So what does that do for Mr. Kim and Lee? It helps Mr. Kim as well as Mr. Lee because you are still supporting their legs, right? One side, and they're gonna work hard to build out their one legs each, right? Each side, they're gonna build out each side, right? And for that person at the top, your son, your daughter, it's okay. You don't have to build out their things for them because eventually you can do that later down the road when you're Imperial Master or whatever. But right now, it's not going to help you become Imperial Master by doing something like this, right? So avoid making that mess, right? Build your lines by adding them down all under that one line, right? So that way it goes all the way to the bottom and all the points can come up and support all your partners that need the help. And that way Mr. Lee and Mr. Kim will feel like this is a fair system and they'll want to work even harder to grow their own lines, right? So please avoid doing this because it's not going to help anyone. It's going to make it even more of a headache for you, right? Because if you do follow this and then build out these legs, yeah, right now you're going to make money for your sons, your daughters, but when it gets to 6 months down the road, you'll realize that how much of a big mistake you made, right? You wasted so much time building this side when you should be focusing on just one side. And because of that, you wasted all your partners, all the important people that you could have used to support your business on your son, who is not even working, right? And so that means you have to work on two sides. You're creating two legs for you to work on just one right leg, right? So avoid doing that, please. And then making a deep-rooted line is very important, right? So here is another example. You're working hard, following your lines. And then now you have two new partners, Mr. Kim and Mr. Lee, right? And they ask you to put people under them because they have no one, right? So they ask you, Mr. Lee comes to you, Mr. Kim comes to you, is like, oh, Daniel, I don't have any partners. Please add someone for me. I really need someone on my right side. And so you feel bad and you're, feeling generous. So you add someone there. You add M3 and M4. You're working hard already, but you decide to add these people. So the people I've added now are all your own customers, right? They are all your own partners. And they're not Mr. Lee's, they're not Mr. Kim's partners. They are your partners. And I have to be the one to take care of them. And I only have a limited amount of resources and money and time I can spend. So you can't take care of all of these different partners' lines, right? Now what happened? I added two people here. Now I have 3 lines that I have to work on, 3 lines that I have to support. This makes it so much harder for me to do my business. No matter what your partners say, right? Still build that proper line. So what should you do? You build it like this, right? All the way down. Doesn't matter what Mr. Kim says. Doesn't matter what Mr. Lee says. Doesn't matter if they need help or not. You still build that same line. Why? Because if you build it like this and you add it all the way down, you are still helping Mr. Lee and Kim. You are still helping them, right? And if you want to help your business partners, then you need to do it like this. You don't do it like this, right? This is not what you do. You want to avoid building that. You want to avoid doing this. This is the right method. Because in the end, they're going to have a stronger leg, whether that's their left leg or right leg. One side is going to be stronger because you made the right decision of helping one leg and working hard, right? Eventually, right? Whether it's a couple months down the road, Mr. Lee and Mr. Kim is still gonna find someone down here, whether that's this sponsor, whether that's their partners, whether that's their parents, their friends, their family members, someone in Canada, someone in Asia, they're going to find someone. So you don't have to add someone there, right? It's just going to make it really hard because if this person, M3 or M4, they come out to you and say, oh, I want to do business, right? Daniel, I want to do business. Then what happens, right? Then that means that you have to help these legs. And it makes it so much harder for you to focus on just doing two legs, right? So like I said, this is not a more than two-leg business. This is a binary business. Atomy has created this so that way you can succeed, not so that you can make less money, right? So don't try to break this system and just do what you're told. Do what helps you grow your business to success. And time again, many people fall into these obvious traps, thinking that they're smarter than the system, thinking that they're smarter than their smart sponsors, or just everything in general. But they are making this big mistake. So please consult with your sponsors always, because they are the ones that are going to help you make the right decisions, and continue to learn and be in the learning and humble position, right? If you're not ready to accept those kind of information, then you're not ready to do this business, because you need to be someone who is humble, someone who is willing to learn in order for you to understand where you can grow, where you can follow what your sponsors are teaching you, right? Because they're not trying to teach you to mislead you or trying to misguide you so that you fail, because they want your success as much as you want your success. Because if you succeed, they succeed, everyone succeeds, right? So I hope that we all continue to maintain that level of success and level-headedness when we do this business together. And I hope that you all learned something today for the line lineage management. And so I hope that you enjoyed it. And thank you all so much for listening.